In this Interac tutorial, we are going to look at Report Manager Basics. But before getting into the presentation, let's turn on the spy cam and see what happened recently in a nearby office. What is Report Manager? Report Manager provides non-Interac users with easy access to Interac information. Through Report Manager, you can view a report or search within the report, print a report, or export a file. No knowledge of Interac is required to use Report Manager. And this is excellent for executive managers and other non-Interac users. Let's log into Report Manager to see what our desired endgame is before we get started in the learning process. One way to access Report Manager is through a desktop icon, which I'm going to do right now. I'll log in with my password. We'll see the companies that my password has been cleared to use. And here we have Report Manager. This particular user has been allowed into accounts payable and job cost. If I look at accounts payable, this particular tab has been set up to run any report set up in accounts payable. Over in job cost, this particular tab has been set up to only run selected reports for this particular user. And we can see there are other tabs that are not here, such as payroll, accounts receivable, and so forth, because this user has not been set up to access those packages. So getting into Report Manager is really this simple, and it presents you with a custom menu for this particular user. Some of the advantages of Report Manager are it reduces the need of others to request Interac information from accounting. You don't have to wait for somebody else to retrieve their information for you. You can retrieve it yourself. And this may be information that's on a custom menu. For example, a report you normally wish to receive weekly, but a certain week you might wish to skip it, or another week you might wish to get it more than once. Or you may have a detailed spreadsheet you like to periodically download. Access is on demand. It is on the live data, and this contributes to a more paper-free environment. Report Manager access we briefly discovered when we peeked into Report Manager. Full access means that a user can run any report in an app, such as we saw in accounts payable, or limited access, the user can only run specified reports. And this helps you to set up a menu which is unique for that particular user. They don't have to wade through other people's reports. Or you might have no access, such as we saw accounts receivable or payroll were not on that particular user we looked at. Some setup hints. If you're going to have more than one person using Report Manager, it's good to make a list of who's going to have access to it, and for each person determine which reports they can use and which files are required. And this will help you organize setup. Two areas must be set up for Report Manager to function. First, there are some global questions, primarily the files which are going to be accessed. And then there are users set up in security, where we say which reports an individual can see. First, let's take a look at the global settings. Last time we accessed Report Manager through desktop icon. This time we'll go in through the normal Interac menu and open Report Manager here. Specify my password, and we'll see from a drop-down which companies are available. To do the global setup, we come to File, Setup, and we'll put our name in and then specify which files we wish to access through Report Manager. And this is what eliminates the end user having to know really anything about the file structure of all within Interac. You may come down to General Ledger and specify a transaction file of GLE19 if those are the transactions you wish to make available. Payroll, you might specify PRE19 if those are the history files you wish to have available. Or in job costs, you might specify JCE, JTD for job per date if those are what you wish to have available. Answering the questions here is what prevents the user from having to answer the questions when they're running Report Manager. And this adds greatly to the simplicity for the end user. We'll click OK and continue on. Now that we looked at global settings, let's look at user setup. This is accomplished in IS Utilities Setup Security. And for a new user, we have to create the user, allow access by company, then allow access to Report Manager, and establish full or limited access to reports. Typically, for existing users, only the last two items require setup. Let's take a look. We are going to create a new user for Report Manager called Monica. Brand new user to the system. We'll come into IS Utilities, Setup Security, enter our security password. We'll come to passwords, and there's only one user there now. We'll add a new one, Monica. We've completed the first step. Now we'll look at the access controls having Monica highlighted. And we are going to allow her into Report Manager by putting an RM here. And then we're going to specify basically which companies we're going to allow Monica into. And I'm going to enter my NRAC demonstration company. And I'm going to say right here an asterisk for any kind of file. But really we're going to be controlling security through the reports we let her into. So that is where the security really lies. And I'm going to say unlimited usage and click OK. Our last task is to come to the Report Manager button for Monica. And we'll say what companies she's allowed into here. And I'll enter the name. And we can specify none, full, or limited access. And we can set them all as none right here, or set them all as full. And this can be useful if you're copying one username to another. You may wish to copy one and then make a few changes or whatever. So I'm going to say Monica has full access to accounts payable, accounts receivable, which will allow Monica to run any report in those systems. And over in job costs, I'm going to say, instead of full, I'm going to say limited. And when we do this, we get a drop down where we specify which reports Monica can run. And I have a lot of reports on my demonstration system, but I'm just going to pick out a few. So here we can generate a list of custom reports which Monica can see. And we can come in here anytime and change them, of course. We'll click OK, and I'm done, and we're going to end Interac and go back in to the Report Manager button. We'll enter the password we just set up for the company we're allowed into. And you can now see the buttons that we've set up in Report Manager for Monica. And we can see any AP report, receivables report, and the specific job cost reports we established. So it's very easy to set up a unique menu system for individual users. There are multiple methods to start Report Manager. One way is to start Interac as normal and select Report Manager, and we've seen that. Another way is to have a desktop shortcut and click right on the Report Manager icon, and we saw that earlier. And this is located at C:/program files x86 interac/net, and this can vary by environment if you're in a multi-user server oriented system. You can start Report Manager direct from one of the manager apps. If you have Cash Manager, Job Manager, HR Manager, Equipment Manager, Report Manager can be accessed direct from inside one of those. Let's create a desktop shortcut on a standalone system. I have double-clicked on my File Explorer button at the bottom of the screen, and I'm going to scroll down to Windows, click on Windows, click on Program Files x86, click on Interac, and finally click on Net. Now I'll click on the name column a couple times to make sure it's in alphabetic order. Scroll down to Report Manager.exe, and I'm going to right click on it, right click, and choose Send to Desktop Create Shortcut. There is now a new shortcut on my desktop. I'll close File Explorer. It created it off to the side. I'll drag it in. And here's our desktop shortcut we just created. Double click on it. And we are into Report Manager. I'll enter Monica and choose a drop down, and here we are. So it is that easy to create a desktop shortcut. This being an example on a standalone system, which would be the same as systems which have Interac loaded directly on each PC. However, in a Windows Terminal Service environment or network environment, you might have something different and need to work with your IT professional. To summarize the Report Manager topology a bit, we have seen how to set up Report Manager, and we've seen that we can go in through a menu option in Interac or through a desktop shortcut, and we've commented on there are other methods of accessing Report Manager through Cache Manager, Job Manager, HR Manager, Equipment Manager. And once you go into Report Manager through any of these vehicles, you then are able to access your menu, view a report, print report, or export a file. We have multiple ways to get into Report Manager. In addition to being able to view, print, or export, most reports will allow running on a limited range, such as for a particular vendor, job, employee, or you may wish to override line conditions, and this would be a one-time override. Perhaps you wish to select a range of dates, and some reports have additional options. We are logged in to Report Manager as Monica, and let's take a look at a couple things. We'll go into Job Cost, select the first job, and we will see down below that we can specify report date, and if we want to go to a spreadsheet, it'll bring up a dialog box where we can specify the location and name of our spreadsheet. We can select limited ranges, which would allow us to run this for certain jobs. And I have Print Preview selected, and when we click on that, it will bring the report to the screen, and we can scroll through the report. And this is really an unformatted report. It's pure text, but what is handy is that we can search on anything. And if I want to search for project 88002, I can click search and enter 88002, and it'll take me direct to it. And it's a full text search, meaning it's really searching the entire line. So no matter what kind of report you bring up, and whatever field might have the data you're looking for, you can search and it will find it. And then if you want to go forward to the next iteration, you just keep clicking this forward button right here, and it would take you through it. Well, let's go ahead and hit end. And if I clicked print, it would have brought up a printer dialog box. This time I'm going to unselect Print Preview and click Print Report. And I have Document Manager on the system, so I can tell it to either go to the printer or Document Manager or both. And if I choose Document Manager and have the open box selected, it will bring the report to the screen in a formatted fashion. And also here I could email the report to myself or someone else if I wish to. I'm going to click OK, and you'll see the report will come to the screen. And so now we have a more formatted report opened up in Adobe Acrobat with bold and so forth. And we can still use the search functions of Adobe to find what we're looking for. So we have multiple options with what we can do with items in Report Manager. To use Report Manager, you must license it from Intersoft and use Interac Security, which is included with every system, even if you haven't been using it. And this is because the menus are based upon passwords. In summary, Report Manager is very easy to set up. It gives non-Interac users easy access to data in an uncluttered, menu-driven environment with on-demand access to information. And this contributes to a much more efficient office. If you feel this presentation has been of value, please like it, subscribe, and click on the bell if you wish to be notified of new videos. This will help encourage future interactive videos. Thank you.